Today in Lesson 10 we're going to be talking about SmartArt, text effects, and page borders. We're going to specifically deal with how to insert and modify SmartArt into our Word document. We're going to take and create SmartArt from a picture. Then we're going to take a look at text effects. Text effects and WordArt styles have some similarities, but they're located in different places, and we're going to show you the difference between the two. And then we're going to wrap up our lesson with adding page borders to our document. We will be working in Lesson 10 for this particular activity, so we're going to need to go to our book, and we're going to need to open our file up for Lesson 10. Lesson 10 begins on page 171, but the actual page number that has the file we need to open is page 172. So please go with me in your book to page 172, and we're going to open up this doc file. Once this doc file is open, we need to enable the editing. And now we're going to save this file to our computer. File, Save As. On my computer, I'm going to go to Documents, create a folder for today's date. Open that folder by double-clicking on it, and then adding my initials to the file name. Alright, with this file open, we're going to make some changes to it. One of the first things we're going to do is we're going to add something called SmartArt. If you will, please click underneath the Island Rentals Incorporated. So click underneath there. And we're going to add what's called an organizational chart. An organizational chart basically shows people who's in charge of an organization, what the chain of command is. And so here's where we can get our organizational chart. It is something called SmartArt. If we go to the Insert tab, Insert, and we're going to go to SmartArt. There are all kinds of different SmartArt that you can choose from. Typically, in a piece of SmartArt, whatever the SmartArt name is, will have a name that's part of this category. So for example, this one right here happens to be Basic Block List. Well, that's part of the list group. This one here is Vertical Box List. Again, part of the list group. So a lot of times when you look at a test question that you may get and it asks you to add a SmartArt, rather than wasting a lot of time looking around, look at the name of that SmartArt. If the word list is in that name, go to the list group. If the word process is part of that name, go to the process group. Now there is one that I have seen show up on the test quite a bit, and that is the organizational chart. The organizational chart, obviously the name does not include the word hierarchy in it. This is one that you probably should learn and memorize, is that if you get a question on the test that says to add an organizational chart, you need to know that that's part of that hierarchy group. So in the hierarchy group, we're going to click on organizational chart. This is a preview of what it's going to look like. We click OK, and it adds that to my document. Now we're going to add our text to our SmartArt. I'm going to click in this top box over here. If by chance you have another box over here that has appeared, for right now, go ahead and X out of that if that appears. We're going to click right on the box itself to type this information in. We're going to type in President. Underneath President, we're going to type in Executive Assistant. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this a little better as I'm typing. Underneath Executive Assistant, we're going to type in some vice presidential items. So I'm going to type in VP Sales. In the next box, VP Operations. And finally, VP Finance. We have the ability to modify where these particular shapes appear and to add additional shapes. So for example, under VP Sales, I want to add another position, the Regional Manager position. So I'm going to click on the VP Sales box. And I now have SmartArt tools on my ribbon. I've got a Design and a Format tab. So I've got two different contextual tabs. You should be on the Design tab. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new shape, which should go underneath the VP Sales. And to this new shape, we're going to type in Regional Manager. Well, you can also add shapes not just below a shape, but you can even add a shape above another shape. So for example, I'm going to click on the President tab. There's actually one person who is above the President in a typical corporation, and that is the CEO. With the President box selected, I'm going to come up to Add Shape, but rather than clicking on the button itself, I'm going to click the drop down and choose the Add Shape Above option. Add Shape Above. That adds a new shape above the President, and I'm going to type in CEO. Now we can also do what is called promoting and demoting. And basically what this is doing is it's moving the boxes into a more prominent position if you're giving them a promotion, making them more important, or putting them in a less prominent position if you are demoting them. So for example, we're going to click on this Vice President of Sales, and we are going to demote this position. So up on the ribbon, I'm going to find my Demote button, and I'm going to click Demote, and that puts that into a less prominent position than it was just a moment ago. So now the Vice President of Sales is responsible to the Executive Assistant. Let's say I want Regional Manager to appear before the Vice President Sales. I can click on Regional Manager, and I can click on Move Up. Alternatively, I could have used the Move Down button while I was on the VP Sales. We are going to change the look of the overall SmartArt. And the way we can do that is right up here is our layouts. If we change our mind, right now we're using the organizational chart layout. If we changed our mind, we can come out to these layouts and we can pick other layouts that we might wish to use. And one of these layouts that we're going to use is this one right here called Hierarchy. Hierarchy is another type of an organizational chart, so we're going to use the hierarchy look, and that has rearranged our SmartArt slightly to this look right here. Here we can also, the other thing that we can do with SmartArt is we can apply styles. Now understand folks, I can't take, nor would you want me to go through every single one of these SmartArt styles. The styles are there, and what you just need to know is where the styles are, and on the certification exam, it'll tell you which style to pick, and you just need to make sure that you pick the style that it is specifying. In this particular example, the SmartArt style that we're going to choose is this cartoon style right here. So we're going to pick on the cartoon style, and that gives it a new look. We're also going to change the colors of this particular shape. So we're going to click on this change color, and there is a variety of colors that we can choose from. And the group we're going to pick is going to be in the colorful group. And we're going to choose this first one that says colorful accent colors. But just note that there are some other items in here. On the certification exam, I have seen tests where it'll say something like, choose the colorful range accent colors 2 to 3, which would be this one right here. A lot of people see the colorful and then they see accent 2, and so they pick something in here because it says accent color 2 to 3. Look at the name and make sure that it matches exactly what might be on the test. In our particular circumstance, we're going to do this accent colors, colorful dash accent colors right here. If you decided to change your mind on any one of the SmartArt graphics, there is this Reset Graphic button up here. And if you clicked on Reset Graphic, it would put it back to the way it was when we first picked our layout. Now I don't really want to reset this graphic, so I'm going to undo this. So I'm clicking on Undo to keep that same color and style that I had chosen earlier as a part of my graphic here. I am done with this SmartArt. We're going to create another SmartArt in just a moment, but it is going to relate to a picture-based SmartArt. So we need to get our cursor where we want this new SmartArt to go. What I've done is I've clicked after to the right of the SmartArt that's there, and I'm going to press the Enter key once or twice. If you've got your ShowHide on, you'll see the paragraph symbols that appear. What I wish to do now is to move to a new page. Up till my class, if you wanted a new page, what you probably would have done is press the Enter key a bunch of times until you move down to the new page. While that does work, there is a better option for getting a new page. Up on my ribbon, okay, I've got several choices that's up here. I would like you to go to the Page Layout tab. On the Page Layout tab, there is this button called Breaks. We're going to look more in depth at breaks later, but for right now, I'd like you to click on Breaks and tell it to create a new page. So Breaks, Page, will put in a simple page break into our document. Here, I'd like you to go ahead and type in a label for this page. It's going to be called Beaches Galore. So type in Beaches Galore and press the Enter key. On this new line below Beaches Galore, we're going to add another picture to our document. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to get this picture from our computer. So we're going to go to Insert. Since it's coming from our computer, we're going to go to Pictures. And where I want you to go, right now you should be in the Pictures folder. I want you to scroll up. The picture that we're going to get is actually going to be from the server. So we're going to go to the Desktop folder. Desktop, Class Files, double click on Class Files, then IIT, Word, and Chapter 1. This should bring you to the pictures that are in that Chapter 1 folder. And in that Chapter 1 folder, there should be a picture called W10 Try Picture. So with that picture selected, we're going to insert that picture into our document. With the picture still selected, what I want to do is I want to turn this picture into a SmartArt graphic. One of the ways to take a picture and turn it into SmartArt is using this Picture Layout button. I click on Picture Layout, and here you will see a variety of different SmartArt graphics that are specifically designed for pictures. The one we are going to use in this particular activity is this one right up here in the top row. It's called Snapshot Picture List. Click on that picture, click on that layout, and that will give us a picture, or a SmartArt with the picture in it. Now for this particular exercise, it really is easier if we open up this little text box tool that is on the left hand side. So clicking on the left hand side here where you see this arrow, that's going to open up this box that allows us to type in some information relating to our picture. In this first bulleted item, by the way, is going to be this item right here where it says text. In this first bulleted item, we're going to type in family friendly. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see this better. Actually, that's not going to work. Family friendly vacation islands. Family-friendly vacation islands. Now what I want to do is I want to list to the right of the picture 4 different islands in the United States that are family-friendly that people could go to. So here's what I'm going to do. In my list over here, after family-friendly vacation islands, I'm going to press the Enter key. Now when you do this, it thinks you're trying to put another picture in. That's not what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to add additional items to the right of the current picture. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, on my keyboard, press the Tab key. What that does is that indents in this bulleted list, if you will, and that indent creates a new item over here on the right where I can type the island names in. So here we're going to type in Martha's Vineyard. I'm going to press the Enter key. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this next one, so I'm going to just type it out. It's CHINCOTEAGUE, island. Shantique Island, maybe? I don't know. Never heard of it before, but it is apparently an island in the United States. I'm going to press the Enter key. We're going to move actually to an island that is here in Florida called Sanibel Island. So I'm going to type in Sanibel Island. And finally, the last island we're going to type in is Hilton Head. So I've entered in my island names. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of this text box item over here on the right hand side. As this is now done, I'm finished typing in my SmartArt. I'm going to click on the outside edge of my SmartArt here, and I'm going to change the SmartArt style. The style they wish us to apply is called the intense effect. The intense effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a moment to look for the style called intense effect. Hopefully you went to the Design tab, found your SmartArt Styles and clicked the drop down. And then you needed to begin looking for your different effects to find the one called Intense Effect. It happens to be the last one on this Best Match for Document group, Intense Effect, and that's the style that we've applied to this particular SmartArt. Let's go back up to the first page. I want to deal with the titles of these pages just a little bit. We're going to deal with these titles in two different ways. This first way, page 1, we're going to deal with something called a text effect. On our Home tab, in the font group, there is this button. It's a capital A. It shows text effects and typography. Guys, for the last couple years, I have seen this appear on the certification exam, so you want to be familiar with where this text effects button is. So you may get a question that might say, apply a text effect, and then it'll give a name. Clicking on this drop-down arrow, you will see a variety of different text effects. The one we're going to use is this one right here, called Gradient Fill, Dark Green, Accent 1, Reflection. So on a test question, if they were wanting you to do this, it might say, select the title on the first page and apply the Gradient Fill, looking for that name again, Gradient Fill, Dark Green, Accent 1, Reflection, Text Effect. And this is what they would be looking for. I also want to center that text on the page. So we've done a text effect for this particular piece of text. The next thing I want to change is I want to change the look of the text effect on the second page. So let's go down to page 2 and select Beaches Galore. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to create something called WordArt. So with the text selected, on the Insert tab, we're going to go to WordArt. Clicking on WordArt, you will see a variety of different looks that you can apply to your shape. You're going to see a lot of similarities between WordArt and text effects. The one that they wish to use for WordArt is going to be in the bottom row, the second one from the right. The big difference between WordArt and text effects, notice that WordArt appears within a box. So this text is actually inside of a text box. And as such, I can position it like I would position a graphic. So I'm going to go to this position button. I'm going to put this in the center up here. I want to change the look of this slightly. So what I want to do is I'm going to change the text fill, the color, if you will, of the text here. So I'm going to go to text fill, and I want to change this to a blue color. So I'm going to choose blue here. I also want to change the text outline. I want it to stand out a little bit more. So what we're going to do is we are going to pick this red, dark red outline. WordArt, text effects. Two different ways of changing the look of my text. WordArt will always be inside of a text box, whereas text effects can be used just in regular text that's typed on the document. The last item we're going to look at is what's called a page border. A page border allows us to put a border around each page in our document. All the pages, for the most part, will look the same. There is a way to make them different, but that requires a little bit more knowledge of the program and how it works. We're going to go to the we're going to go to the Design tab. The Design tab. If by chance you are using a previous version of Word, say Word 2007 or Word 2010, the page borders used to be on page layout. They have changed it in this version of Word the 2013 version, and is now part of the Design tab. With the Design tab selected, you may remember that this is where we did our watermarks before. Well, now we're going to go to Page Borders. If I wish to put a simple line around my page, I can choose my line right from this here, the Styles. But this time we're going to be a little bit more artsy. We're going to choose an art border and actually get a picture that is going to appear around the outside of our pages. The picture we're going to choose is one of these palm trees. This palm tree picture is toward the top of the list. There's a lot of different choices that you can pick from these art borders. So we're going to pick the palm trees, the colored ones here. And I'm going to click OK. And that is going to apply the palm trees around not just the first page, but all the pages in my document. Let's save our work, clicking on the Save button. That will save this file, and that will wrap us up for Lesson 10. In this lesson, we introduced you to the concept of SmartArt, text effects, and page borders. We showed you how to insert and modify SmartArt using the Insert tab. We created a SmartArt from a picture. We then looked at text effects, which was found on the Home tab. WordArt, also found on the Insert tab. And then we added our page borders, which we found on the Design tab of our ribbon.